Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
Alright guys, welcome back to our Universal Monsters series. Today, this is number 7 in the series, The Bride of Frankenstein. I'm your host, Jimbo, and my co-host, Twinkie the Kid, Terrence. So here we go once again. We don't spend a lot of time. We just jump right into this and nail it out, unlike a regular episode where we'd spend a little bit more time making sure Terrence is awake and, you know, goofing off a little bit.
Since we're on Twinkies, funny thing about Twinkies, I didn't eat one until like really late into my adult life because I was always like really big, and I'm like, I'm not going to complete the fat guy trope. I'm never eating a Twinkie. So
really?
I didn't
what about deep
Twinkie
fried Twinkie? You ever had?
I still never had a deep fried Twinkie. I've never owned a Hawaiian shirt either.
Oh no. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into The Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein, release date May 6th, 1935. Its budget was $400,000, and fun fact, it went $1,000 over budget. Execs must have been really mad about that one.
$100,000 over budget.
$100,000 over budget.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. Box office, $2 million. So this one did really well versus a lot of the other ones that a lot of the other ones are more or less cult classics and respect it, but this one actually made its money back.
Well, I think also because by now Boris Karloff has become a staple name.
Absolutely.
In these movies. The director James Whale, he's done several. So
that's very true. This was directed by, of course, James Whale. Writing credits, of course, Mary Shelley, the one who wrote the original book in 1816.
But see, that plays a crucial role in this movie, too.
It does.
And we'll talk about it
which
in
is
a minute.
very interesting. William Hurlbut, which adapted the book into the movie for writing the script. John L. Balderston as John Balderston. William Hurlbut, again, for the screenplay.
Hurling butts over there.
Joseph Byrne, uncredited. Lawrence G. Blockman, uncredited. Robert Foley, story uncredited. Philip McDonald, adaptation, uncredited. Tom Reed, uncredited. R.C. Sheriff, uncredited. Edmund Pearson, uncredited. Morton Corvin,
You are struggling
uncredited.
If you guys could see the pain on his face as he's trying to read these.
It's fighting the tired and also trying to just get the names out without stuttering at this point. Because when your mind wants to say one thing, but you're like, that's not how it's said. Just say it right and the first time and not say it wrong and then say it right.
The entire time we've been doing this, you have been saying monsters. It's monsters. Because you keep saying monsters, I keep going back to the TV show, The Monsters, in my head, because, Frankenstein and the girl that kind of looks like
I say some, my wife gets on me on some of those words I say weird, like caramel. And then she's like, no.
Caramel.
I can't even say it that way. I've tried. And who's the other? I think, is it Shaquille O'Neal who says it caramel too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, now we are on to the tech specs. Runtime, 1 hour and 15 minutes. So once again, it's a nice little fun movie. You can quick watch. I like these quick little watches. They're easy to squeeze into a busy day. Sound mix, mono. And for those who don't know what sound mix mono is, I thought I'd cover it real quick. So mono is when there's just one audio track. So the easiest way to explain is if you put headphones on, you're going to hear the same audio through both earphones. Versus if it's stereo, there is 2 audio tracks. There's one for the left, one for the right. Sometimes it'll go from you can hear both things, and then you'll hear something on the left ear or the right ear, depending on where someone's orientation is in the room. If it's a movie or if it's music, sometimes they'll play the bass in one ear and then the main guitar in the other ear.
So kind of like
stuff
when
like that.
The old audio dramas where you would hear somebody walk in, open the door on this side, and they're walking across the room to the other side.
And then you'll hear it move from one side of the speaker to the other side.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and then that's the whole appeal of a surround sound system. It utilizes stereo with multiple audio tracks. Then you get that. And obviously the best is if you have that 360 audio.
And there is nothing like watching Saving Private Ryan in a 360 surround sound, man, because the bullets sounded like they were shooting behind my ears. Shooting at me. I was like, whoa, intense.
And so that's what a lot of these are on a mono soundtrack. Most of the older movies are. Our next episode I'll look in more into when stereo became a thing and more common. Color, black and white. As all Universal monster movies. Aspect ratio, 1.37 by 1. Now, this is a fun fact. The 1.37 by 1 is for the old square TVs. And the reason why that's important is because in most re-releases, it pulls it in the widescreen. And sometimes when you do that, it cuts off the top and bottom of a movie. Where nowadays you get it in reverse, where if you have full screen, it'll cut off
the sides.
And also sometimes the top and bottom too, because it's more fit to screen instead of how it should be. So modern movies you really want to watch in widescreen because then you'll get what you're intended to see. And that was the whole thing is a lot of directors see it as visual vandalism to cut part of the movie off, like whether it's just the top and bottom of it, just because you're not getting the full vision of what the director wanted you to see.
Exactly. Like, I think the first one that I really noticed that in is I bought the Star Wars trilogy when they re-released them or whatever in a deluxe widescreen edition.
Yep.
And you miss so much stuff that you did not know was there on the side of the screen. And you're like, well, now this makes sense because you see stuff that you never knew was there.
Exactly. For the older movies, it was the opposite problem is it took sort of, the square image and it made it rectangle, thus cutting off the top and bottom. That's a little fun fact is the 1.37 by 1 is for those old square TVs. The film length, 8 reels. Negative format, 35 millimeter. And now what negative format means is that's just the film itself, the actual film that's in the reels. Cinematographic process, spherical. Printed film format, 35 millimeters. And now off to the awards. This one has an Academy Award.
No.
Finally. This is in 1936. They were nominated for an Oscar for Best Sound Recording. Gilbert Kurland, sound director. So that's huge and notable because all the other movies we've covered didn't even get a nomination.
Right, but you got to remember that we're just pulling out some movies out of that whole list.
That's
so
true.
I don't know if there was anything in this time frame between 1923 to this
60.
movie. Well, right, but to this movie was 1935. I don't know if there was anything that we haven't covered that did win something. You know what I mean?
Oh, as far
so
as
we'll
like
have to
the
look into
Universal
that.
movies,
Right?
Well, I mean, the ones we have watched are the more iconic ones, and the ones that everyone's have seen.
Right. Maybe on our Universal Monster recap show,
Yeah,
we talk about everything. We'll see if we can't see if there's any major ones that we missed or didn't cover in this series that we can provide for them.
That's a good idea. I like that. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, just like all the others. This one won 3 years, obviously, for the collection in 2017, 2013, and 2005. And this one made it to the National Film Preservation Board, 1998. It won National Film Registry.
How many films are in the National Film Registry, do you know? And how many get selected a year?
As far as like when they pick winners and stuff, that is a great question. I'll definitely look into that and bring that up next time when we do. I'm pretty sure the last two we cover we have 3 more movies that we're covering.
Right.
I'm sure one of those will make the.
Well, then we'll have a recap show where we just tell our thoughts on it.
And if it doesn't make that, we'll throw it in the recap. So now on to the synopsis. I'm just gonna read the little synopsis we have because I am too tired and not creative enough to impromptu my own synopsis. So
what if I take your sheet away real quick?
Synopsis is Dr. Frankenstein,
albeit he didn't want to,
against his own will, has to create a mate for his monster.
we need
building suspense with long pauses.
We need to insert the Creature from the Black Lagoon music right there. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. And for those of you that don't know, The Bride of Frankenstein, to me, it's got a lot of comedic value in it.
It does, it's very...
And I know you're think very highly of this movie, too, so we'll get there. So the cast real quick, of course, Boris Karloff as the monster and Colin Clive reprised his role as Henry Frankenstein. Valerie Hobson as Elizabeth Frankenstein. Ernest Thesiger as Dr. Pretorius. Also, fun fact, Bela Lugosi as well as Claude Rains. You have heard us talk about them before. Were considered for the role of Dr. Pretorius.
Now, I would have really liked to see Claude Rains in particular, just because the manicness he had in The Invisible Man.
But you don't know what he looks like. You just know his voice.
Well, you see him in the end.
You see him dead. Spoiler alert. You see him dead in the bed. Elsa Lanchester as Mary Shelley and the Bride of Frankenstein, which is the monster's bride.
Yep.
Brigitte Helen was considered for this role, but she was recently married and didn't want to leave Germany. So well, fine, be that way. And then Louise Brooks was also considered. Gavin Gordon as Lord Byron, Douglas Walton as Percy Blythe Shelley, Una O'Connor as Minnie, which is we all remember as the screaming lady from from The Invisible Man.
She reprises her screaming role.
And she actually has a dual role in this movie.
She does.
At the beginning, if you remember, when you're coming in and you see the maid walking out the dogs from... That's her walking the dogs out, even though she's on there just a split second. E.E. Clive as the Burgomaster. Lucille Priville as Frankenstein's butler. O.P. That's O.P., not O.G. Heggie as the hermit. He played a fantastic role. Dwight Fry as Carl, one of the Pretorius' henchmen.
Yeah.
So this guy, he was in the Carl, which was the original Igor in Frankenstein. He was in. He's been in several of the movies that we've covered.
I thought it was funny that they reused him because his face is the same. He's just not hunchbacked like Igor was.
But
Fritz. Fritz was his name.
Fritz, he was somebody else though that we covered because he's been in like 3 or 4 of these. Yeah. Because he always plays the same role.
Yeah.
But what was cool about this movie, and I'll put that in right here, is they used some of the original footage from Frankenstein as like a recap at the beginning when she's telling the story, and I thought it was really cool to see how this is like maybe one of the first times I can ever remember them playing old footage to a new film.
Yeah, as far as old films go, this is the first time I've seen it too.
Ted Billings as Ludwig He was one of Pretorius' henchmen. Reginald Barlow as Hans, the father of the killed girl Maria from the original Frankenstein, which, if you remember right, that's the one where Frankenstein's making daisies float, and he runs out of daisies, and throws her in the water, and she drowns.
And then they somehow have impeccable detective work and find out that...
that still haunts me. It's like, oh, she was murdered. Well, how do you know she was murdered? If she was on the water's edge and fell in and she can't swim...
Sherlock was on the case. We just didn't know it.
Mary Gordon as Hans' wife. Anne Darling as the shepherdess. J. Gunnis Davis as Uncle Glutz. Walter Brennan as a peasant, even though he was uncredited. And John Carradine as a hunter, even though he was uncredited. So, Terrence, this is obviously on the 1001 Movies Before You Die. I'm not even going to look that up, and I'm not even going to say it was true. I'm just it has to be one. This is one of the Jimbo's 1001 Movies Before You Die. But I really do believe it was one that we had to do, or you have to see.
Jimbo's critically acclaimed list of movies.
This was shot in only 46 days, approximately $400,000 budget, as you said.
Yep. Even
though they went over pretty bad. There was something else. What was it? Well, we'll go ahead and just start talking about the movie. And when I get it, there's a lot of notes for this movie. Even though
a lot to unpack, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. We'll just say this. Even though the title is The Bride of Frankenstein, what you're going to come to find out is she's only in the movie less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Outstanding role. She looks crazy. But as me and Terrence were discussing before we dove into this, is we say The Bride of Frankenstein, and everybody automatically goes to the thoughts, and even I did, I just discovered this, goes to the monster, Frankenstein's monster's mate with the hair and all that.
Yeah.
And I told Terrence, I said, it just hit me that maybe they're not talking about that Bride of Frankenstein. Maybe they're actually talking about the scientist Frankenstein's wife.
Yeah.
That they just got married, the bride of the Dr. Frankenstein. Because this movie, you see them, I think they had just been married or were getting married.
She has a lot more screen time in this one.
Right. And, the whole movie is about her. They even kidnap her at a point, and it's a lot about her. So you could use it both ways. As crazy as it gets when some people say, hey, I'm going to watch Frankenstein the movie, your mind automatically goes, when you say Frankenstein, it goes straight to the monster.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's Dr. Frankenstein
monster
and made by Dr. Frankenstein.
And, even people start calling him Frank. Everybody's mind just, even though it's totally wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody just automatically assumed Frankenstein. Okay, that's the big green monster with the bolts in his neck. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Same way with this one, The Bride of Frankenstein. You automatically go to the lady with the frizzy hair.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, Terrence, let's go ahead and start breaking down this movie. So obviously it starts out really different.
Yeah.
There's a lightning storm going on outside the storm, and you see this guy staring out the window with his pipe or whatever, and you see this lady, and he starts talking about, hey, this kind of reminds me of when you wrote Frankenstein. You know how Frankenstein's monster was raised on this day, and it come to find out it's actually Mary Shelley, the lady that wrote the book.
Yep.
Talking to Pierce Blythe Shelley's there, and the other guy, the Byron, I think. Byron, we'll call him. And, and he's like, too bad that they're all dead. And she's like, they're not dead.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean they're not dead? They got burned up in a windmill. She said, no, you guys only think they were dead.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, tell us what happened, Mary. Tell us what happened. So they're beckoning.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of your classic, it's raining, so let me tell you a story kind of thing, right?
Scary stories to tell in the dark. So she's like, all right, so everybody thought they were dead, but here's what really happened, So, yeah, you like my little the Universal Monster guy? So, the next thing you cut to is she's giving a recap of Frankenstein the movie, and you're seeing clips about, it started off with Fritz and Frankenstein digging up the bone. You see cut down the body.
So yeah, this whole thing is a really wonderful recap of the previous movie, and
really
very well
done.
Like,
that's what I was gonna say.
It just because when I first started the movie, and I was like, this is a strange place to pick up. Like I have no idea what's going on.
Like,
but then they start talking
people?
about it, and then they're like, oh, you wrote that wonderful book. I was like, oh crap, okay, yeah, she made the book, and then how they just transition so smoothly into her recapping as
the entire movie of Frankenstein in
like
30 seconds.
Like the scenes and stuff like that, and then they smoothly transition into the movie. Just like, oh, the story isn't done yet, and
because you get to if you haven't listened to our Frankenstein episode, make sure you go back and listen to this because we're going to be talking about some stuff. But when it goes straight to the windmill and it's still on fire, and it looks like the exact same scene. You know what I mean? And you have Maria's dad there, and you have his wife, and you have all the townspeople. And the one guy gets up and he's like, "Oh, he's dead. Go home. There's nothing more to see here." And
the excitement's gone from the crowd. Everybody's sleepy.
Right. And Maria's dad is standing there, and his wife's like, "Come on, let's go." He's like, "I am not leaving till I see the body."
Yep.
And I was like, man. So everybody else is leaving, and here I am. I'm like, how is this guy just still standing here? There, the cop is shuttling everybody away, right? So, basically, the windmill collapses, and so he's like, I got to see the body. So he starts climbing down into this hole.
Yeah.
And what you see is you see like this hand just come around the corner like a cave, the entrance, and it's Frankenstein. And you can tell he's been burnt. He steps out. He looks different. And we'll talk a little bit about the reason why he looks different here a little bit, but you can tell he's been burnt and all that. And so the guy's climbing down, and Frankenstein just grabs him and just chokes him out underwater.
Yep.
So the lady's up at the top, and so you start seeing Frankenstein starts climbing out, and the lady turns
she starts
around.
calling out to her husband, and she's like, "Oh, what's taking him so long?" So she goes to investigate, and then
does she throw down?
Oh
a
no,
rope?
that's right. I remember. No, I remember
because she turns her back, and
she hears him scream, and then she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" So she goes over to see what's happening, and then she sees him in the water.
No,
I think, and then
she sees the hand come up out of the top. Remember?
Oh,
and she goes to
right.
grab his hand, and when she grabs his hand,
she thought it was
her husband. She turns her back and she starts pulling, helping Frankenstein out of this hole. And so he finally gets up, and she turns around. He's like, "Arr." He takes her. And he just throws her down in the hole. I just started busting out laughing because I was like, "This is amazing."
Another obvious doll prop, but still super hilarious.
Right. I thought that was a really well done because it set the tone because you were like, "What just happened?" And it was hilarious all at the same time.
Right.
So you got Frankenstein out. He's walking around, and he runs into Minnie. And she turns and looks, and she's like, "Wah!" And she starts screaming.
Yeah.
Well, they've already started carting Frankenstein all back to his house, castle, whatever.
They've presumed him dead.
Right. They think he is dead. Even though this is a little contradictory because at the beginning, or at the end of the last movie...
He was very much alive.
Yeah. Remember, they throw him off the windmill, he hits the thing, and he's like, "Oh, he's alive. Let's get him back to his father's house." I thought they said.
But then it changed. Now he's passed out and dead.
But he's dead. They don't know.
And they take him to his fiance's.
Right. So the lady screams. She's like, "Oh, they're not going to believe this." So Frankenstein wanders off the other way. She starts running. I got to go tell somebody.
Yep.
So they get him home. They throw him on the table. And they're like, "Oh, he's dead." They're like, "Well, somebody needs to go tell his fiance that's upstairs what's going on." And then Minnie comes running. No, the monster's alive. No, or Frankenstein's alive. Like he's dead right here on the table. And she
I will say, I don't remember what the lines were, but I just remember the rest of the crowd kind of really being insensitive about all of it.
Well, they were kind of glad, I think, that he was dead just from everything that he had done.
Do they know he created him?
I don't know if they created him, but remember he was known as the crazy guy.
That's true. Yeah.
So finally, somebody says, "No, look, wait, he's breathing." So let's get him upstairs, So they carry him up to the bed. So the next thing that you see is, I do believe this is where you get your first. He's up in the bed with, sitting there, and they're talking about stuff about being married, blah blah blah, and you hear
he's filled with regret from the experiment. And she's like, basically, I think they're just talking about their life, how
and he's like, "I'm done doing this. I want to, turn over. We're going to start seeing the world stuff."
Yeah.
Like that. And then you hear the knock at the door, and Minnie. If you guys know who Minnie is, if you remember the Invisible Man, she's the one that just screams "Whoa!" all the time. She does this in this movie too. So. She goes and answers the door, and she's like, "Who could be here this time of night?" She's mumbling to herself. She goes over and she opens the door, cracks it, and "Can I help you?" or whatever.
Yeah, and she's like, "He's not well."
Yeah.
He's like, he won't see you.
He said, he'll see me. Tell him Dr. Pretorius.
He's like, tell him my name. He'll know who I am. Dr. Pretorius.
She's like, "Who?" He's like, "Dr. Pretorius."
This happens 5 or 6 times.
What
was your name again? Dr. Pretorius.
This almost deserves to be in a Mel Brooks film right here. So so she lets it. She's like, "You stay right here." She starts walking up there. He's following her. She said, "What was your name again?" "Dr. Pretorius." She just said 3
over
times.
And over. What was it?
And she
again?
tells him to stay 2 or 3 times too. And so they get upstairs, and she's like, "You stay right here. I'm going to go." So he goes. He's like, he's like, "Sir," she walks in the room. She's like, "Sir, there's a man here to see you."
Yeah.
And he said, she said something like kind of like a shadowy figure. I can't remember the word. I can't remember the word I'm looking for. So he's like, I'm not feeling well. Tell me to come back. And he opens the door and he's like, Dr. Frankenstein. Like I am Dr. Pretorius.
He trying to just.
What do you want? He's like, you will come see me. I need to talk to you.
Yeah. And then they have the conversation where he's like, I know your experiment was a success. And then at that point, he immediately went to collaborate. Now, I don't know if it immediately spells out their relationship together in the past. I mean, clearly they weren't on equal standing before, because he mentions that they are now on equal standing and they can conduct a collaborative experiment. But was he, just given his age being older than Frankenstein, was he a teacher, a mentor, or was Frankenstein an assistant? Either way, there's a prior relationship, obviously.
Well, you could see that, or even if they were in school at the same time, maybe this guy started later in life, but this guy, or maybe he was in school and Frankenstein was so crazy and great and creative with his ideas that he surpassed what this guy could do. So as where he had the brain, this guy. Well, the reason why
I think Pretorius had a sort of a higher standing just because the way he speaks to Frankenstein, right? So because he does mention he now sees him as an equal, which it makes it sound like he didn't before. So he saw himself as better, but then Frankenstein, his new experiment, topped his own. So he's like, okay, now we're on equal ground. Let's collaborate. And obviously,
well, when you find out why, though, because this guy has done some amazing stuff.
Yeah,
Pretorius has done some pretty cool stuff that you're hearing. So he tells him to meet him somewhere, if I remember right, doesn't he?
Yeah. First. He declines altogether. He's like, no. I'm done with it all, kind of thing. And then I don't remember how he persuades him, but he does persuade him to at least meet him again. Right. Not necessarily into the collaboration just yet. That's what I remember.
Right, and then the next thing I remember is this where they. Pretorius and his two henchmen go to the tombs?
Not yet. No, that's way later in the movie.
Is it?
Yeah. Because I didn't. They get a whole scene of this. Man, we're just struck.
All right, guys, we're back. We wanted to make sure we got our facts straight, so we pulled up the movie and we checked that little stuff out.
We're both very tired and having a hard time remembering what happened. So, to retcon a couple of things that we said before. So we did clarify that they were mastering people, as far as Dr. Frankenstein being the pupil, Dr. Pretorius being the master, the teacher, so to speak, and how he entices them to bring him into his home. What I mean is how Dr. Pretorius entices Frankenstein to bring him into his home is he tells him about his own experiments. He's like, I too have created life in God's own image. And then he's like, what? I have to see. So it sparks the scientist's curiosity within Frankenstein. So then he tells him, come over tonight. And then it jumps right into the next scene of where he goes over to his house. And then he starts talking about how he grew life instead of what Dr. Frankenstein was doing, because Pretorius did also try to raise the dead but failed. So he did a different experiment and he just created life. He created life. And so he pulls out these little jars.
Yeah, he pulls them out like a bag or something, or a box or something.
There's this large box and he pulls out like 4 or 5 little jars.
And then, they got like napkins over them or something, don't they?
Yeah, they have black covers over them. And he starts pulling off the covers. The first one. And what was the first one? The princess, right? So they're these like little miniature people.
It was pretty cool.
It was
pretty well done.
And so he pulls off the first one. It's a princess. She's sitting on a throne chair, and she's looking all proper and royal. And obviously Frankenstein's shocked. He's like, wow. And so he's explaining the princess and like her sort of attitude, I guess.
Her characteristics.
Yeah, her characteristics, and then he unleashes and he uncovers another one, and like, this is the king, and he's like, he's always going after the princess or queen.
I think it was a queen.
Yeah, and so like he's knocking on the glass.
He's like waving,
trying to flirt with her, and then she's not having it.
And she's
all.
like, "Oh, here we go again."
And then he uncovers a third one, which is
a ballerina, isn't it?
No, that's the fourth.
Oh, okay.
So the third one was actually, I forgot the title, but he was that was that title that we couldn't figure, the Burgundier, Bergen Master. So it looks like someone from a clergy, right? Just who's scolding the king and like, no, like you can't be doing that. And obviously the king's not listening.
He's like climbing on top of the throne now.
So he's like, oh no, the king's escaped again. And the king has now climbed out of his little jar, and he's over annoying the queen in her jar. And he's like knocking on the glass again. And she's like, go away. And she's just like shooing him away. They have these little voices. Like, it's hilarious. And then that's when he reveals the fourth one, which is the ballerina. And he's like, she does ballerina, but she only dances to one song. And I don't remember what the song was, but that was pretty funny. Because it sounded like he was just so tired of that song. He's just like, she only dances to this song.
And the fifth one was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
That was the mermaid.
That was the mermaid.
I was like, this is wow. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that whole scene was fun and kooky and
was there another
comedic.
One too?
That was it. It was the.
Because I was reading somewhere that I thought there was maybe it was a cutscene or something, but that they had like a devil one in one.
That's right. There was a sixth one.
Okay,
it was
that's
the devil
what I thought.
Himself. It was the devil himself. And the last comment he has on that, he's like, he kind of looks like me, doesn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know if you had got to that.
And then they had to put so that he uses like a pair of tongs to put the king back into his jar.
And then he puts the book on top of it.
Yeah, he puts the book on top of it because the king's trying to break open. He has like a little rock or like something. He's trying to break the glass to get to the queen. He puts his tea on top. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He puts his tea on top of the jar so the king can't escape again.
The special effects expert John P. Fulton and David S. Horsley spent 2 days shooting Dr. Pretorius's miniature beings. The actors were placed in full-size bell jars set against black velvet. These shots were meticulously lined up to match them with shots of Ernest Thesiger and Colin Clive and the interior set. So
that's awesome.
A little bit of special
effects. They did a really, really good job with these special effects.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, black velvet was the old school green screen, basically. And then some point in time, and I imagine it had to do with the accessibility of what clothes you can put actors in, just because when it comes to special effects, and that's how you get the shabby one. Like, remember I was telling you about the shabby special effects in Invisible Man and how it looked like there's one particular scene it just didn't look good at all.
Where he was like in his bathrobe.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe that has to do with because you're using black velvet as your sort of color to fill in whatever you want. Whatever dark colors you have on your clothes or lighting or anything could affect sort of the special effect you're trying to pull off. And that's the same thing that's why they switched to green screen, because that color green is typically not a color you're going to have a character wear. So it's the least uncommon color that you're going to cast your actors in. And so it's the most ideal color to cast as a backdrop to fill in whatever you want for like CGI, fake backgrounds and stuff. So anyway, back to this recap, and now it switches back to the monster. Finally,
he's just having a tough time. The monster.
He is. So he's just he sees a creek, and he rushes over because he's super thirsty. Yeah, he's just been in a burning building, and he drinks some water, and then there's a.
But I think he looks in the water too and sees that he's now even more disfigured.
Yeah,
right?
he sees his face, and he's like, smashes the water. And then he sees a
shepherdess.
A shepherdess. Is that? I feel like there's a different name for a shepherd who's.
Well, that's just what they called her in the.
Is that what they?
Yeah, they called her the shepherdess.
Okay, I guess it's shepherdess. So yeah, she has her flock of sheep, and then he sees her, and
she's on like the top of the cliff or whatever, and she just screams.
Yeah, and then he's like, no, he's just curious.
He's like, no.
No.
I think he's trying to ask her for help, or something.
And she's just screaming, and then that's when, after her scream,
she falls in the water.
Yeah,
so dramatic.
So she just like stumbles backwards into the creek and drowns, I presume, because everybody who falls in the water drowns, I guess. And that's when the mob suddenly comes back, and now they're chasing the monster again.
Yeah. Well, is there a couple guys that are hunting in the woods close by or something? Remember?
I believe so.
There's. Yeah. So
I'm playing it again. So we have it pulled to the side right now to help us with our little recap, and I accidentally just replayed her falling over and over. Oh yeah, you have the kids are crying.
Yeah, but see, she's actually gets out of the water though. Remember, she's screaming, and he's like, "Shush,
yeah,
shush! I just escaped him."
He's still doing his grunting, and then the two hunters.
Yeah, come after him.
Spot him. Oh, that's right. They graze him in the arm.
Yeah, they shoot him.
That's another injury he gets because he just sustains these injuries the whole time.
He's like, can I just catch a break? I've been burned. I've been shot.
So I found this one interesting. Remember when we were talking about in the Creature of the Black Lagoon episode, that all the movies we had watched, there was like no blood. So this one does have traces of it. So after he gets shot, and you see the monster holding his arm, and you can actually see blood down his hand.
This was 20 years earlier than Creature from the Black Lagoon. Creature from the Black Lagoon was 1954. This is 1933.
But I mean, even with the oldest one that we've covered so far, which was Dracula, there was none in that. And then there was none in any of the other ones we've covered.
Well, that's
so this
what I'm
is the first one
that you've seen
movie
so far
that we've covered that does show sort of any trace of blood, really, because you can see his hand. There's definitely something on his hand, which you presume is blood because he's been shot.
Right.
So then that's when the hunters go back to town, and they're like, "We found him," and
the monster's
they get the whole mob so they get the whole mob together basically, and now they're hunting him down again.
And this comes is this the point where they're searching for him, and he's on top of that little cliff, and he throws that boulder and just squashes two guys.
So they're chasing him, and he's fighting them back, and at one point he's on top of a hill waiting for him to pass by, and then he's
is that after this
big
part?
Boulder. Yeah, it's before this actually.
Okay.
So he just throws a boulder.
It is really well done.
Yeah, no,
it looks like he just squashes them.
It's probably one of the best sort of Frankenstein versus people
moments that we've seen.
Because most of them you can just, it's so obviously a doll, but like this one was actually pretty well done, but still like a bit comedic.
Right. So they finally overtake him.
They take him.
They tie him up. They're taking him. I think they're going to burn him at the stake now because they're like.
I thought so too.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
But then they're like, oh, we'll throw him in a prison cell.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
But yeah, they're like throwing like rocks and probably
tomatoes.
like with tomatoes and whatever at him.
Kind of like when you tell a bad joke. I just want to throw a tomato at you.
So they finally capture him. And it does not last long. So there is a point where they tell, I think they're just talking about like what to do with him, and like, oh, we'll just keep him here overnight, and we'll figure out tomorrow or whatever. And then the monster just breaks out the chains.
Yeah. They have him. Remember, and
they were going to shoot him from the door.
They come to the door, and the guy's like going to shoot him because they know they hurt him.
Yeah.
And Frank's like, I'm not having any of this. He just takes that chain and he just like he pulls it off, and you're like, uh-oh.
Just breaks out of his chains.
Then he just rips the door off the hinges, and you're like,
he just rips the door off and kills the two guards. Yeah, and then moves on to the next door.
And just rips it out.
And then rips that off, and all the townspeople are still out and about and just calming down finally from capturing him.
Yeah. So I just wish they would have had the lady there going, just one more time, right?
So then he successfully escapes the town and his...
And he goes and hides. Didn't he go and hide in the tombs, in the catacombs?
No. He actually...
I know he gets there eventually.
Yeah, he does. It's after the whole moment with the blind man. So
touching moment of the movie.
There's this whole section of the movie with just the monster and the blind man, which I really enjoyed. Actually,
it really brings the monster to back to his human self, because
it does. Yeah,
you're starting to find out that this is where the hermit, he's sitting there and he's playing his violin or fiddle, whatever you want to call it. And
playing an instrument.
Yeah, and Frankenstein looks in the window. He's like, he's
really enjoying the music.
Yeah, he's like, oh. And then the blind guy puts down his thing. He hears something, and he goes over the door, and he opens it up. He's like, who's there? And Frankenstein's real quiet, and he's like, I mean you no harm. He's like, I'm blind. He's like, I can't see anything. He's like, I just heard you. So he goes back in, and he starts playing again. So then Frankenstein ends up in the cabin. He's like, well, hello there, friend. He's like, oh. Yeah. He's like, I've been praying day after day that God would send me a friend. He's like, I'm blind, and he's like, and you can't speak. He's like, maybe you can be my eyes, and I can be your voice or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he's like, are you hungry? So they start. This is where you start seeing the relationship go, because the blind guy doesn't know, and I think you can learn a lot from this. The blind guy
doesn't know anything.
Doesn't know anything. It doesn't know what he looks like. Doesn't care. You know what I mean? And all he knows is that he wanted a friend, and he's trying to help out, which the world can use a lot of that today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Based upon appearances, and, which is very insightful. But so they're sitting there, and he goes, this is bread. He answers to Frankenstein, and Frankenstein's like, bread. So now he's teaching Frankenstein how to talk, and Frankenstein takes bread.
And then it comes to, I think, both of our favorite parts. He's like, this is wine.
Yeah, and he's like,
drink. He's like, drink.
Good. He's like, wine. And then so he got really excited.
Yeah, and then he also gets excited. He's like, this is a cigar. It's one of my favorites. And then
he goes to,
I think when he goes to light it, and then he freaks out over the fire. He's like, no, it's okay. No, this is smoke. Good. And then he's like, try. And then Frankenstein takes the cigar and he starts smoking. He's like, smoke. Good.
I just thought, where have we come? We come from this killer monster now down to this party animal. You know what I mean? Very well
drinking,
done.
He's smoking.
So this time, I think this is where you see two hunters.
Not yet. First, they sort of establish more of a rapport. And then he starts the fire first, and he's like, fire, bad. And he's like, no, fire, good.
Right.
Sometimes. He's like, sometimes things could be good and bad. So he's like, fire, good. So then he starts playing his violin again, right? Yeah. And then that's when they're playing, and then I don't know if it's in the same scene or if it's like maybe time has passed kind of thing.
Well, I think because I feel like here's what happens is the two guys come to the door and knock, and Frankenstein looks out the window or whatever, and he goes and hides because they're telling the guy coming and saying, "Hey, the monster's escaped." Remember?
That's right. Yeah.
And this is where they see him inside, and they're like,
so there is a time skip. So he tells them to lay down and sleep, like you're really tired. And then it shows a later scene where with the fire I was talking about. Then he starts playing the music, and then that's when the hunters come in, and we're like, we're looking for a monster. And he's like, I have no idea. And then he's like, why don't you just come inside and we can talk, or like I can feed you, stuff like that. He's just being his nice self. And then that's when they see the monster, and then they're like, that's him.
Yeah.
And then the blind guy is like, no, that's my friend. And so they're trying, they like lead the blind man away, and then he's like, no, he's my friend. And they're trying to attack the monster, and they set the house on fire in attempts to replicate kind of what happened in the what do you call it? The windmill.
Right. Except he escapes this time.
He does. Yeah, he escapes right away.
I think this is also. Is this also where he? When does he meet the gypsies? Was that already passed?
That's right. As he's trying to escape, because after the hunters, I wish there was a. Oh, there we go. Like, yeah. I wish there was a better way to skip through and try to figure out where we are. So yeah. So here's the burning. He escapes the house because they think they got him. So They set the house on fire. They take the blind guy, and then they leave. And then that's when they show the he's scaring people away. And everybody's like, ah, and then he runs through the cemetery. That's how he loses the crowd again. So the mob's after him again.
Yeah, he's like toppling over statues.
So yeah,
and
he topples over one particular statue, which is a small grave that he can climb into and hide. To which all the mob is like, he went that way, you know, that classic, like, he didn't clearly, but...
You know, if they would have only had better trackers at any point in any of these movies, like the Wolfman,
I know, right? Like, really, just they're a dog away from finding him.
But what's interesting is, so, now you have the other guy down in the grave, right?
No, that's a different...
Frankenstein's in there, but he's not in a grave, he's in a...
mausoleum,
right? Yeah. Something like that. That's like a crypt.
There we go. Yeah. He falls, or not falls into. He ends up hiding in the crypt, which is connected to a sort of larger crypt,
right?
That's connected in like a tunnel.
And there's just all kinds of graves in here.
That's when Dr. Pretorius and his two nefarious henchmen are there to find a body for
the experiment that they're going to perform on.
Exactly.
And Frankenstein's like over there hiding in the shadows.
That is something that I just now remembered that we did kind of skim over. So after Frankenstein sees Dr. Pretorius' experiments, he agrees to do the collaboration. And that's why he goes to find a cadaver.
Well, because he still doesn't know that Frankenstein is alive.
Exactly.
The monster, I mean. I don't think Frankenstein knows
because that's, as soon as he does, he's like, I call it off. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I'm done. I want to just go back to plan B, which was just, I'm taking my fiance, we're getting married, and we're getting out of here.
Right.
But yeah, so they're in the crypt, and then that's when
Pretorius finds Frankenstein.
Exactly. So, well, more so the other way around.
Right,
Frankenstein comes up on Pretorius, and I was like, I wonder what kind of reaction he's going to have. And he has the most interesting reaction, I think. He just turns around and he's like, oh, hello.
Yeah. I was like, okay, you're in a crypt, and you see, and I kind of wonder if he knows that is Frankenstein, which I think he has to know that is the monster, because the way he acts, he's not scared. It's like you've seen him before, and he's like, hey, I can use this guy to my advantage to help bring Dr. Frankenstein, further along in this experiment.
Exactly.
Because I think he was going to do the experiment regardless whether Frankenstein was there or not. Yep. But he knew it would work with Frankenstein.
Exactly. And what I think is interesting is that you get sort of a small clip of the two henchmen, and then they're talking to like, this is all really weird, and if this really goes any further, I'm going to call the police on them myself. Right. Which is interesting because they've both admitted that they're like murderers and thieves.
Right. And I was like, how is this going to work? Like, if there's a reward out or something, you know what I mean?
And then I thought it was a very interesting scene with Pretorius, because he's sitting in the crypt that they just and then the coffin that they just opened to the body that they're going to use for the experiment, and he's just having a celebratory glass of wine in front of this skull and candles, and it's almost like this. It
makes you wonder, where is this big mob? And they're in this crypt. How did they get in there? Because they didn't come the same way Frankenstein came in.
Oh, not at all.
And
the mob's already still.
That's what I'm saying. They're outside,
direction.
But
well, they cleared very quickly. So as soon as Frankenstein went down into the crypt, that's when you see the mob come by, and they're like.
But what I'm saying is the other ones came from another angle, so they would have. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know how easily it is for the mob to lose people. I remember in the first one, Frankenstein had some of the mob with him, and he's like, "No, he went this way, and the mob's just trailblazing down the rock. He's like, "Fine, I'm just gonna go myself." I would imagine so many people would go unnoticed. So for like three guys to sneak into a crypt would be.
Well, they're probably used to hiding in the shadows anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So now he has his body. And now they're going to have the conversation of, hey, you're my friend. You're coming with me. I got something we can do. Because I think he's like, me friend, and is this where he's wanting...
this is where he says, he's like, I'm done, I'm out.
Right.
And then he's like, well, let me persuade you. I have a friend who can persuade you.
Yeah. And
he's like, he calls the monster in.
Yeah. He's like, he just waves his hand, and you see him walking, and you see the fear in Frankenstein's eye. You're like, he's like... what is going on? Because this guy just threw me off a windmill a day ago or 2 days ago. You know what I mean? So he's like, I won't do it no matter what. He's like,
no, he's like, I won't talk about it with him here.
Right. He's like, I'll come see you.
And I think this is after the monster's like, sit.
Yeah.
Sit.
Which we talked about this because I had told you, I was like, if you remember when Frankenstein walks in the original Frankenstein, the first thing that Dr. Frankenstein does to the monster after you see him walk in is he turns around. He's like, he takes his hands and he's like, sit. He's like, he'll understand me, sit. And in this movie, when the monster comes into Frankenstein just standing up like, I can't believe you're here.
Yeah.
And the monster goes, sit, with the same arm motions. So he has the memory of what he showed him. And now he's even more scared because Frankenstein knows how to talk.
Well, and it's really interesting. So they did, when he meets up with the blind guy at first, the blind guy says, he's like, shake your head, nod your head if you can understand what I'm saying. Because he didn't know if he can not speak and not understand, or if he just couldn't speak what he could understand. Right. And then you find out that the monster can understand speech. It's just he can't speak.
Yeah, he can't.
So at this point now he's learning speech and he's, sit. And then Pretorius tells him to leave because Frankenstein doesn't want anything to do with him.
So you see Frankenstein walk out, and you see him look in the room where Frankenstein's wife is. When the monster leaves.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
He tells the monster to leave, and the Frankenstein walks around and he sees Elizabeth Frankenstein in her bedroom or whatever.
Yeah, and then that's when he kidnaps her.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He kidnaps her, but you don't know this. Frankenstein doesn't know this yet because I think he's like, you've got such and such time to come to me.
Yeah, and then he shortens that time significantly very quickly because that's when
it's like, you'll do it now. It's like, she's safe for now.
When our favorite actress comes in,
she deserves an Academy Award. We're going to pass out our own awards at the end of this and our recap, and we're going to pass out
the best Scream award.
You're right. But you got to give her something because she's fantastic and she's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So now you come to the point where Dr. Pretorius has. You don't know where she's at, but he's got Elizabeth kidnapped.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, we're going to do this. If you don't do this, we're going to kill her.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I've got your monster. So now Pretorius and Frankenstein, you see them. He's like,
he's now in this forced collaboration.
Fine, I'll do it. He's like, just don't hurt her. He's like, we want her, but once we're done,
that's it.
She's yours. So what was really interesting, I think we're coming up on the scene where they're back at his laboratory, if you will, and you see the heart.
Yeah, the artificial heart that Dr. Pretorius grew.
And he's like, it stopped. He's like, this is not going to... He's like, I need a new heart.
So it's connected to this interesting machine that's calculating the heartbeat, and then the heartbeat starts going. It's good, and he's like, this is a heart that I grew, but the heart is the hardest organ to replicate, because he has all the other organs inside the cadaver, except the heart, because the heart's the hardest thing. So it's beating, but then it starts getting irregular heartbeat, and then it just stops, and then
and Frankenstein's like,
that's when Frankenstein's like, I need a fresh heart,
this is where it gets crazy. So Pretorius tells the
2-inch
Carl,
he
tells Carl, he's like, hey, I need a new heart. I need a fresh heart. He's like,
preferably someone who's died recently.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care where you get it. He's like, I just somebody that's a fresh one. He's okay. So you can see hiding in the shadow. And you see this lady walking down the street.
And he just pulls out a knife. Poor woman.
Yeah, and so he comes back with the heart.
And rips out her heart.
And they hook it up to the machine, and it's perfect. It's beating perfectly. It's taken. Blah,
he's
blah,
like, this is really fresh.
He's like, where'd you get it? He's like,
And then he's like, I got it from the mortuary. And he's like, which one?
Yeah. He's like, yeah.
And then Dr. Pretorius just completely skates past that conversation. He's like, it doesn't matter anymore.
Let's get it into the monster, right? Because the storm's coming.
Yeah.
So they get the heart in, and now you see, the storm's coming. So they got a really elaborate system going.
So this is what I really like about this scene is obviously in the first movie, there's a lot of dialogue of what's happening, but not so much a theatric sort of facade of what's happening. In this one, they really go above and beyond to show the entire process and a lot of the inner workings of their machine. They show that he's like telling the two henchmen guys, set up the kites, and then the kites get set up. You see those getting ready to absorb the lightning. You see him pulling up the rod and at the top of the lab,
and then it's extended way up in the air now.
Extended way up in the air.
So he's done some work to his laboratory since the other movie.
Yep. Most definitely. And
which is kind of odd because it's only a day or two later.
Right? So, all this stuff happens. And actually, you know what? It's a lot further because Frankenstein gets some rest.
Right,
so there's a
I know. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's...
It feels like one or two days.
But I don't think Frankenstein
sure,
was going to be working in his laboratory
not
like
at
that.
all. Yeah,
so either that he was just talking to didn't use it in the other movie.
To run away.
Right. Either he didn't use it in the other movie or it's...
I always saw it as that was what they envisioned the first time. They just couldn't elaborate on it, so it's the same lab.
Or if there was a time jump between here and there, and
that's true too.
He's like, "We're going to do this. We got to do this right." They collaborated on their plans.
But I feel like after his fiance gets kidnapped, it's all pretty in sequence from there.
Right.
So, but yeah, the whole theatrics of them doing the experiment itself, I thought that was pretty amazing. I really enjoyed it.
So they come to the point where they've got the heart in there, and you see her. They have her wrapped up like the mummy, in bandages. And if you like you were saying, like the things come out the side of her head. Remember that they've got all this new high tech gadget stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so they raise her up, raising her to the top or whatever.
Before all this happens, though, like Frankenstein's working, and he's just like, I can't do this. I'm so tired. I need sleep. And then the monster's just, no, work, work.
Well, and something else, is this where Frankenstein goes to the top of the thing where the kites are?
Does he go up there?
I thought he goes up there and he either kills one of the guys, throws them off, or he scares them or something, remember?
That's way later. That's after they successfully... Is it? Maybe it's during.
I was going to say, I thought because they're still up there on the top. So anyway,
I remember something happens.
Something happens upstairs where oh no, they drugged Frankenstein. Remember they?
Oh, because he was making a fuss.
He's like, come here, bud, come here, and
have a drink, and
then he knocked him out with the wine. So he's on there, and so he knocks out. So now they're raising her up there or whatever.
Oh, and then there's he doesn't want to continue because he's like, I don't know if my fiance is dead or not. And then he calls her. He calls her.
The first cell phone.
And he's like, what is this? And he's like, oh, it's a device that lets you communicate.
You can't see her
over long distance.
But you
can't
can hear
see.
her.
Yeah, you can't see her, but you can hear her. So I thought that was really interesting. Probably one of his own inventions, right? So he hears her voice. He's convinced, and then. That's when they continue with the experiment. Everything's going very well. I'm trying to figure out how the two henchmen died because I don't know
if both of them died because I think
one of them did because one of them falls
up
off.
top and the other one is still with the lady. I think Carl was at the top. I don't know if he falls off though, does he?
I'm pretty sure he falls.
I remember Frankenstein going up there and he's like, "Rawr!" You know what I mean?
I'm like 80% sure that he falls.
I was waiting for him just to toss him off the side.
Yeah.
So the storm's coming. And
okay. It is during, giving life to the second experiment, right?
And I don't understand. Because he gets the fire. Remember, he's like, stay back. He's scared of him, and he's like, stay back, stay back.
And then that's when...
Frank's like, nah, I got you.
Yeah. And then he... I don't remember if he tosses him off or if he just falls
I don't even know if he falls. I think he just...
I will
drops.
say at one point there's he falls. So they're having a tussle.
He didn't fall though. He just fell to the top of the.
Oh no, he fell.
No.
Yeah, no. Look,
he's right there.
No, look
there. Now he throws him off.
So I was at the point. So he falls. That's right. He falls down.
He falls down,
and then the monster just picks him up and throws him.
Right. Hilarious. So now lightning has struck the thing. They're lowering the thing. Frankenstein's still on top of the building, and.
No, he's down. He's looking up at the sky.
Not Frankenstein, the monster.
Oh,
still
yeah. The Frankenstein is at the top. Yeah.
And so this is where she comes down, or the bride comes down, and they're like, look, and you see her hand move.
Yeah.
And they're like
we've done it.
She's here. She's here. And just what they did to her. She looks more like the mummy than.
Right. Especially the way she
and then she raises her arms. She's like, whoa.
Gets up. She's like raises her arms, and they
he's like,
finally unbandage her. He's excited over a successful experiment. Now, here's what I find interesting is, like, they undo the bandages.
And her hair is just totally...
And her hair just randomly is poofed out. But
I think there's a time lapse, too, watch, because if you see this...
Oh, there is, because they get
now,
her
it looks like she's in a wedding
and
dress.
Everything. Yeah.
I was like... And now look at her. She's just like...
And then she has these, like, erratic motions, almost
she's
that of, like,
like a robot, almost.
Or like an animal, really.
Right.
Like that's how I felt. Is like her movements were very animalistic.
You could tell she was scared. But the thing about her is she was already doing commands like walk. She's walking and stuff, and she's she's scared.
That's what it was. It's an artificial brain.
Right. Because
that was the special thing about this particular experiment is it was an artificial brain that Dr. Pretorius made.
Right. Because he was so used to making those little miniature ones, he had already come up with it. But so now you're getting to the point where she's like, where am I? What's going on? She's taking all this in. Here comes Frankenstein. He's ready. He's like, friend!
Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, he comes in.
He's like, friend. And you could just tell, man, he's amazed that they've done it again. And now, hey, I've got a friend that's like me.
Yeah.
And not like you. So he's pretty excited.
But she is not.
And she is not having any of it.
Just the loudest screech from her.
Yeah, there it is. She's like, it's like a cat hissing.
Well, first she screams. She doesn't hiss until almost the second time. Because he tries to warm up to her. So the first time
he takes her hand and she's like...
And then here we
go. Frank.
He runs in. She's like screams. And then she runs to... that's right.
Frankenstein tells her to come sit down, I think.
Leads her over to the couch, and he sits her down. And then Frankenstein sits... Pretorius takes Frankenstein's monster to the couch. He sits him down. They try to, like, warm up. Have her warm
Talk about a blind date.
I know, right? So he takes her hand, and he's like, yeah, everything's
He's like, friend.
okay.
I think that's where he's like, friend, it'll be okay. And then they're all like... And Frankenstein's like, yeah! And next thing you know, she's like... She's scared of him.
She's horrified.
Yeah.
And she looks up at his face again, and that's when she like screams and hisses.
And this is where Frankenstein's like, "What did you do? She'd no like me."
He's basically realizing
it's not going to work.
Like not only is his existence just not supposed to be a thing, but that he will never find solace with somebody like him.
Right.
Also, so. They're like, no, don't touch that lever.
Don't pull the switch. It's like you'll kill us.
It'll unstabilize everything. And his Frankenstein's fiance has come because she escaped the clutches of the other henchman. And,
right, and Frankenstein unlocks the door, and this is where Frank's like, you go, you live. He's
like, you live.
Yeah, and
then he's like, we die, or something like that.
Which I kind of wonder if the little people were there. Because I'd love to see a spin-off the Mad King or something.
So here's what I found interesting. And, every movie I feel like there's a little inconsistency that we sort of nitpick at. And for the most part, I really enjoyed everything about this movie. But the only thing I felt sort of... I wasn't convinced on why it was happening was the monster letting Frankenstein live. I didn't understand... Because there wasn't really a relationship built up between them except he threw him off a windmill.
The only thing I can think of is because Frankenstein kidnapped his girlfriend or his fiance, wife, whatever she is now, and
like, he feel bad about that?
And he sees that, hey, they have something that I wanted, and mine's not working out, so I'm not going to ruin their life because he has found happy. Look, he's tried to create me a monster. I think he finally realized, like, hey, he tried, it didn't work. B, I'm just going to kill this crazy lady because I don't want no part of that. And then he knows that probably because he spent time with Pretorius, I think he also knows, like, this guy's bad news because if we don't stop him, he's only going to keep going more and
that's
more
another
and
thing
more.
that's interesting is sort of you see his mind grow as far as learning kind of adapting right and
so
wrong.
well.
Because at first, like, he had no idea what right and wrong is. He's just murdering people, doesn't know it. But then at one point, he was just trying to escape, and people were just chasing him. So then
you kind of feel sorry for him.
You do, and then with the blind guy, you really feel he develops sort of sympathy a little bit, and then like just starts actually becoming a person because he's being taught how he should have been taught in the first place. Right. And then after that, it's just him wanting someone like himself and that pursuit of that, and then finally, his last act of taking himself out and Pretorius and the other monster that they created.
He pulls the switch.
And then he pulls the switch. So, which is interesting because it's like Frankenstein and his fiance would have had to have ample enough time to get away, far enough away from that. And
well, if you remember when he pulls the switch and the stuff starts blowing up because he hits his switch and it's like a self-destruct button, it always reminds me of like a super secret bad guy, in the movies that, hey, if I ever get found, there's a self-auto-destruct button. That even like the Starship Enterprise, like we talked, has a self-destruct button. A lot of, the notes that Inspector Gadget would get, this note will self-destruct.
Self-destruct.
Right. So once he flips that switch, it's blowing everything. There's not going to be any way Dr. Frankenstein can start doing his experiments again. All of his notes, I feel, all of his laboratory equipment, I think everything that he needed was in there, and Frankenstein knew that too, or the monster knew that, and I think that's why he blew it up too, because he definitely doesn't want Platorius to try again, and he really hopes Frankenstein just turns away because he wants him to start a new life and just go enjoy it. So you see them two walk out, he pulls the switch, and them rocks are falling like right when they walk away.
The whole thing collapses in.
And this thing is blowing boulders miles sideways and everything. You know what I mean?
And it was somehow Frankenstein and his fiance have gotten far enough to just kind of watch it from a distance,
right?
As the chaos ensues, and that's pretty much the end of it. It was like you just kind of see the destruction of the lab and the building it was in, and it's so.
Once again, we have a Universal monster movie that just ends abruptly. Like
they all end once the monster's dealt with.
Right,
that's the thing,
and it just ends. I was wanting some closure. I don't know. There's obviously more Frankenstein movies that we haven't watched yet. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping it ties in somehow. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Some facts about this movie. The girl who played Maria, the girl that in the original Frankenstein that got drowned, and her dad appears in this movie. She actually has a cameo in this movie. She is the leader of the group of the young girls when the monster's walking around. Look! Yeah. She says, "Look." And James Well actually gave her that because he wanted her to be paid more than some of the other actors, be as a billed actress, get paid more since of what she did. Not long before filming, Colin Clive, who played Dr. Frankenstein, broke his leg in a horse riding accident. Consequently, most of his Frankenstein scenes were shot with him sitting. Huh. That's why you see a lot of him sitting, when he comes in and sits down at the table and they're talking and he sees the little people. Everything you see, he's sitting down. Yeah. Karloff did not want the monster to speak in this movie. He was like, look, I'm a monster. I shouldn't speak. But, he was overruled.
I liked the speech that they gave him. It's very simple, but it's effective in getting the point
But
across.
He was not... because they made him work, he was not able to remove his partial bridge work he had done to help give the monster his sunken cheek appearances in the first Frankenstein. That's why he looks different. He looks different. The lady that played the Bride of Frankenstein, Elsa Lanchester, said that her hissing performance and spitting was inspired by swans in Regent Park, London. She's like, they're really very nasty creatures. I was like,
they are.
The swan.
It's very true.
Boris Karloff lost 20 pounds laboring in the costume for this movie. This is one that me and you talked about a little bit. When filming the scene where the monster emerges from the burnt windmill, Boris Karloff slipped and fell into the water-filled well. Upon being helped out, it was discovered that he had dislocated a hip in the fall. The hip was strapped into place, and Karloff went on about his work. He continued to receive massage and heat treatments from the hip for the rest of the shooting of the film. Colin Clive, who was Frankenstein, his alcoholism got really bad.
Yep.
But they didn't want to do any intervention because they liked his hysterical quality that he provided for the film. The musical soundtrack for this film, provided so popular, it was used again in the Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers serial starring Buster Crabbe. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Man, we got to do Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon. Once again, Jack P. Mears did the makeup, but he altered the Frankenstein makeup, because to show that he had survived the fire.
Yeah.
At the end of Frankenstein, and so he added some of the flesh burns to him. The lady monster, the monster mate, she was only 5'4", but for the role was placed on stilts that made her 7 foot tall. The bandages were placed so tightly on her that she was unable to move and had to be carried about the studio and fed through a straw. That's taking your... This was a film was entirely in the studio. The bride makeup took over 3 hours for her face alone.
Holy crap.
And Boris Karloff's took 5. I was like, man, I'm sure some of these guys are glad today that they don't have to go through some of the stuff they had to. Because can you imagine shooting day after day, getting that consistency in makeup?
I mean, it still happens with a lot of movies that use heavy, what do you call it? Just, makeup and layers of, whatever fake prosthetic
like zombies
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to always use special effects when you can achieve it through other means. So I know a recent example was I guess it's not so recent anymore, but when they were doing Mystique in X-Men, that was like 8 hours to get that makeup on her. Yeah.
So Alyssa Lanchester, who played the bride, she had to spend days dressed up in that bandages, man, and that she would even have to be fed because even her fingers, if you've seen the movie, her fingers are even taped.
Yep, everything's wrapped.
But she had to spend days. And what's interesting, and also her shock hairdo, it was held in place by a wired horsehair cage. but what a lot of people don't realize that have probably watched this movie or haven't watched this movie yet is it's the Bride of Frankenstein. She's only in the movie 3 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
And to have to be in that bandages for days for 3 minutes of the film, total. I mean, I'm talking bandages and
just for a couple of scenes. She's barely in the movie for the last couple of minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, 3 minutes of screen time, the entire film. Boris Karloff was paid $2,500 per week for a total of $12,500, a large sum in the mid-30s, but perhaps not enough to compensate the 48-year-old for playing the role in the elaborate makeup and heavy costume. And he already had severe arthritis by this time, so I'm sure it wasn't no easy task for him.
The $9 million the movie made.
James Whalen, the studio psychiatrist, selected 44 simple words for the monster's vocabulary by looking at test papers of 10-year-olds working at the studio. So what kind of kid is putting wine down as the question? Is
good.
Wine,
good. Friend.
Even though the bride was James Whale's conception, Jack P. Pierce behaved as though, according to the monster mate, that the bride, that he really thought that he had created these characters, that he even came to be made up. He would be in a full doctor's lab coat and with a cold attitude, like, like, hey, you're my creation. So this is, obviously it's on Roger Ebert's greatest movies list. It's the 1,001 movies before you die. So it's part of great movie. So, Terrence, go ahead and tell me your thoughts on this. Oh, one thing real quick. As among the American Film Institute 2000 list of the 500 movies nominated for the top 100 funniest American movies. All right, Terrence.
I didn't see that one coming.
So tell me your thoughts on this movie.
I highly enjoyed this one. I like this infinitely better than the first. It was just really enjoyable. It was comedic. It takes you through all the emotions, this movie. Like, you feel sad in a way, just
you feel compassion for the monster.
Yeah, you do. Obviously there's comedic scenes. You see the compassion between, him and the blind man. I definitely felt like really sad when, he tore him away from the blind, or they turned the blind man away from the monster, because like all the blind man wanted was a friend, and he finally got a friend, and
Frankenstein's been looking for a friend to teach him some stuff, and I think
they really
mentor.
Forced that relationship apart, and that felt really sad because he was just so happy. He's like, finally, God sent me a friend. He's listening, and
you really like the Dr. Platorius in this too, didn't you?
He was such a great sort of antagonist, because he really is the antagonist of this movie and not so much the monster anymore. And then just the way he carries himself, it's his whole sort of vibe that I think just fits really, really well into, and it really showcases when he first meets the monster. He's having a wine in a crypt of all places. He's just enjoying a drink in celebration of a cadaver he found that's perfect for an experiment.
In a crypt.
And then in this dark crypt, he's approached by a monster, and at no point does he look phased at all.
He's almost like, well, hello there, friend, is what I was expecting him to say.
Just the way he speaks and everything, it's great.
So where are you putting this on your list of the monster movies?
This is where it starts getting, now that we're adding more movies to the list, it's getting harder to place them, especially when I have more and more time to think about it, because I feel like my list changes almost every time.
Which is a good thing, though.
Yeah. And I really kind of want to put this one at the top in a way, like almost tied maybe for number one
with The Invisible Man.
Yeah, and I almost it's almost a three-way tie, so I can call them my top three and not in order. But The Invisible Man, The Bride of Frankenstein, and The Mummy, like I highly enjoyed all three, and then as a super close second would be Wolfman, and then everything else just
it's pretty interesting that two of your top three movies star Boris Karloff too.
Oh yeah, I mean. Boris Karloff's great.
Right. So, yeah, this is a great movie. Like I said, that's why we're doing these movies. Terrence has never seen any of these, or if he has, it's been so long that he doesn't remember.
I've seen
He doesn't even remember what we watched last week. So.
What did we have for breakfast?
We've went a little long this episode, but we wanted to make sure that...
Podcast, good.
This is one of those movies that there was just a lot more information because it is a sequel to one we've already covered, so we wanted to make sure that we got all of our facts straight, and that's why we pulled up the movie while we were sitting here to make sure that we weren't spewing false information or just not trying to remember So I think this episode's coming to a close. We will be doing the very first original Universal monster movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, starring Lon Chaney, and it is a silent movie.
A long one.
It's a long one because they had to throw up the sign, the black words. So
it's an hour and 49 minutes.
I know Terrence is looking forward to it, and watching that, he probably won't even like the movie, which is even going to be greater.
Well, okay, so here's what's funny. Just to preface our next episode is, we agreed to do A Hunchback of Notre Dame just because it was the first one. But I was like, I don't know how I feel about it because I didn't even like the cartoon rendition. You know what I mean?
There's one that is really good where I think it's 1939, but I looked at it and
there's one in the 60s.
Well, but in the 30, I think it's 39. It's a black and white, and it's not even a Universal Monster one. So it was just another rendition. So I wanted to make sure that we stuck to the Universal Monster version.
Yeah.
Just like we're going to be doing Phantom of the Opera. I did the silent one from 1921 solo because you weren't here that week.
Yeah.
But this is the Universal Monster one. So I want to make sure we see how Universal portrayed the monsters all the way through.
Yep.
Also, be on the lookout on the Facebook group post because I'm probably going to throw the Hunchback of Notre Dame up as a watch party because I can do that on there. It's one that I found that hey, it'll work. So, but this has gone on far too long already, Terrence, and you keep dragging us out. So, with that being said, this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap and cut.